Miranda v. Arizona is a pivotal Supreme Court decision that fundamentally reshaped the criminal justice system in the United States by reinforcing constitutional protections against self-incrimination and ensuring fair treatment for suspects during police interrogations. The ruling established the requirement that law enforcement officers must inform individuals of their right to remain silent and the right to an attorney before any questioning takes place. This decision was crucial in safeguarding the Fifth Amendment right against coerced confessions, ensuring that suspects are fully aware of their legal protections. By requiring the Miranda rights, the court sought to preserve the fairness of the legal process, prevent abuses of power, and ensure that confessions made during the interrogations are voluntary and informed. As a result, Miranda v. Arizona has become a cornerstone of the criminal procedure, shaping police practices nationwide and reinforcing the importance of individual rights in the face of government authority. Miranda v. Arizona is a landmark decision by the U.S. Supreme Court that established important protections for individuals in police custody. It expressed the constitutional rights held by all Americans, and it underscored the duty of law enforcement to uphold these rights. Despite the heinous crime committed by Ernesto Miranda, he nonetheless was entitled to his Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights. It was the responsibility of the police officers interrogating him on the night of March 13, 1963, to make sure that his rights as a United States citizen were protected. Because of this case, it has become more accessible for people to advocate for their rights. During the time, the civil rights movement was in full swing. This movement advocated for greater protections under the law for African Americans and other marginalized groups. This movement exposed systematic injustices within law enforcement and the judicial system, particularly with regard to how minority defendants were treated in police custody. Many people during this time were fighting for better police practices to reduce coerced confessions, racial profiling, and unfair prejudice. Leading up to Miranda v. Arizona, there was a huge push for social justice and equality. By this time, the United States Supreme Court had already issued a number of landmark rulings in favor of individual rights, such as Brown v. Board of Education, which desegregated public schools, and Gideon v. Wainwright, which gave defendants the right to counsel for those who couldn't afford an attorney. In 1963, Ernesto Miranda was arrested in Phoenix, Arizona, on the charges of kidnapping and raping a woman. During his time being interrogated, he was not informed of his right to remain silent or his right to an attorney. After 2 hours, Miranda made a written confession, which was later used in trial. The jury found him guilty of both crimes, and he was sentenced to a maximum of 55 years in prison. Miranda's attorney, however, appealed the case to the Arizona Supreme Court, which reaffirmed the lower court's decision. They argued the police didn't violate Miranda's constitutional rights. The U.S. Supreme Court, however, decided to accept the case for arguments. The decision centered around two main parts of the U.S. Constitution, the Fifth and Sixth Amendments. The Fifth Amendment states that people cannot be forced to witness against themselves. In other words, they have the right to remain silent. The Sixth Amendment gives the accused the right to assistance by an attorney. In a 5 to 4 hour decision, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Miranda. Chief Justice Earl Warren announced that the majority ruled that Miranda was, in fact, violated of the constitutional rights during the interrogation. The court threw out his confession, and this established what is now known as the Miranda rights. During that time, the case of Miranda v. Arizona was extremely controversial. The police, for example, heavily disagreed with the Supreme Court's ruling. They thought it wrong to exclude Miranda's confession from evidence. Similarly, they believed forcing police to provide people with their Miranda rights during interrogation would allow criminals to escape justice. However, others agreed that the newly enforced Miranda rights would put an end to harsh and pushy techniques during questioning. Many thought it to be just that in order for confession to be made, the person making it had to do so knowingly and intelligently. If the defendant can't do that, they aren't in the state of mind to rightfully confess to a crime. When writing the majority opinion, Supreme Court Chief Justice Earl Warren stated that
I see nothing wrong or immoral, and certainly nothing unconstitutional, with the police asking a suspect whom they have reasonable cause to arrest whether or not he killed his wife, or with confronting him with the evidence on which the arrest was based. These ends of society are served by the criminal law, which for the most part is aimed at the prevention of crime.
After the Supreme Court's ruling was made, the court not only immediately excluded Miranda's confession from evidence, but also ordered for a new trial to take place. In this new trial, Miranda was convicted and sentenced, remaining in Arizona prison until 1972. The court's ruling also established the Miranda rights, which took a permanent place in police practice. The Miranda warnings are still used today. The case calls for police to be more careful and thorough when conducting interrogations. It is now required for all police to inform the accused of the Miranda warnings, which include that the defendant has the right to remain silent, the right to an attorney, to have one be provided for them if they can't afford one, and be informed that anything they say can and will be used against them in the court of law. These 4 warnings became extremely crucial for officers to know and to memorize. The case of Miranda versus Arizona is a lasting reminder that there stands a balance between the responsibility of the government and the rights of the people. As representatives of the law, police, attorneys, and judges are to make sure that each individual they deal with is provided with their rights given to them through the Constitution. In today's criminal justice system, the Miranda warnings are so ingrained that they are routinely given at the beginning of nearly every police interrogation, making them a defining feature of law enforcement interactions with suspects. Beyond protecting individual rights, Miranda continues to influence legal outcomes. If a suspect is not properly informed of their rights, any statements made during questioning are typically inadmissible in court, which can significantly affect the outcome of a case. This serves as an important check on police power, promoting accountability and ensuring that the justice system operates fairly. Additionally, Miranda has shaped public's understanding of their rights when interacting with law enforcement, contributing to the broader awareness of civil liberties and due process protections. In an era of increasing concern about police practices and the rights of the accused, Miranda versus Arizona remains an essential safeguard in balancing law enforcement objectives with the rights of individuals. The ruling in Miranda versus Arizona reinforced the importance of safeguarding individual rights, even for those accused of serious crimes. The Miranda warnings have become an essential part of the criminal justice system, ensuring fairness and protecting the rights of individuals in police custody. This case serves as a reminder that the government's power must always be balanced by the constitutional rights of the people. Police officers, attorneys, and judges are obligated to ensure that these rights are upheld in every case.